Okay, engineers, what we're going to do today is take you through how to do the force energy experiment. So the equipment that you'll need to gather up together is going to include a force sensor, our LabQuest, a ruler with centimeters on it, and maybe some masking tape to make some marks. And we're going to be measuring the spring constant of our rubber band, so you need one of the smaller rubber bands from your kit. It also might be useful to get just a scrap piece of one of the dowels to use it to stretch it. It makes it a little bit easier to make your measurements. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your force sensor, which has a cable, and you're going to plug it into the channel 1 of your LabQuest, and then you're just going to turn your LabQuest on. It'll be able to tell that you have a force sensor, and it'll read force, and it'll tell you a number in newtons. Now, what we want to measure is what the force is when we start to stretch the rubber band. So what you want to do is take a dowel or a pencil and just slip it in the rubber band, and then this is kind of important. We want to put our 0 mark here. So right now our rubber band is not stretched at all. It has no energy stored in it because I haven't done anything to it. So this is where we want to 0 a sensor. Now you may need someone to help you out. This is where your partner can help. In order to 0 the sensor, you take the stylus and just touch it, and then you'll see a dialog box come up. You just click on 0, and that will 0 your sensor. It may not be exactly 0, but it's pretty close enough for what we need to do for this lab. Now the lab itself is pretty basic. Set out your ruler with the centimeter marks, put a piece of tape where it's not stretched at all, and then tape your ruler down so it doesn't slide. And then you're just going to take your dowel and keep it nice and straight up and down and stretch it. Oops, sorry there. Probably need an extra set of hands to just hold the force sensor down so it doesn't move, and then you're going to stretch it 2 centimeters. Now if we look over at our reading on our LabQuest, now it reads about 1.02 newtons. Just wait for it to kind of stabilize a little bit. It's not going to stay at the same number all the time. And this is where your partner is going to come in handy, and they're going to go over to the data table and they're going to record the force, here we go, and the stretch. Okay, you'll notice that the force has to be in newtons and the stretch has to be in, well, you have some choice here. You can keep it in centimeters and write 2 centimeters, or you can convert that to meters, our SI units, because eventually K, which is our spring constant that we're trying to figure out, that has to be in newtons per meter. So if you leave it in centimeters, you just have to fix it later. So it's up to you how you want to run your experiment. So going back to our experiment, so I've done 2 centimeters, then I'm going to stretch it to 4, stretch it to 6, 8, and then all the way out to 12, making measurements as I go along. And that's the force stretch experiment. You're going to take your data table, and then you're going to plug it into Logger Pro, create your graph, and determine the slope. That's it. It's pretty basic.